We are going to discuss Rewarding People, Chapter 9. So let's start with a quote from Dale Carnegie. People work for money, but go the extra mile for recognition, praise, and rewards. As employees, we, we didn't just work for the company. We just did we also need career growth, recognition from the work we have done, and praise from our superiors. Chapter 46: Reward Management. Reward management is concerned with the formulation and implementation of strategies and policies in order to reward people fairly, equitably, and consistently. It deals with the development of reward strategies and the design, implementation, and maintenance of reward system, which is also regarded as the fundamental expression of the employment relationship. Here are the most three important aims of reward management. Number one, reward people according to what the organization values and wants to pay for. Second, reward people for the value they create, which is which is also the ROI or return of investment. Number three, reward the right things to convey the right message about what is important in terms of behavior and outcomes. The philosophy of reward management. It is a belief of running the reward system with fairness, equity, consistency, and transparency. The philosophy understands that if HRM is about investing in human capital that requires a decent return, it is appropriate to compensate employees differently depending on their contribution or as I said a while ago, return of investment they generate. This concept understands that it must be strategic in that it addresses longer-term issues such as how individuals should be rewarded for what they accomplish and achieve. Here are the theories on 46.1. So, the philosophy will be influenced by the organization's business and HR initiatives. The importance top management places on incentive considerations and organization's internal and external environment. So the external environment includes labor market wage levels or the market rates. It also understands the economic theories that explain how these levels are established, which is stated in the table 46.1. Reward system is made up of a series of interconnected procedures and activities that work together to guarantee that reward management is carried out efficiently, which is for the benefit of the company and its employees. Reward strategy outlines what it plans to do in the long run to establish and implement reward policies, practices, and processes that will help it to achieve its business objectives. Here are the reward policies. The level of rewards taking into account market stance, how internal rates of pay should compare with market rates. Example, aligned to the median or upper quartile rate. Achieving equal pay. The relative importance attached to external competitiveness and internal equity. The approach to total reward. The scope for the use of contingent rewards related to performance, competence, contribution, or skill. The role of line managers. Transparency. The publication of information on reward structures and processes to employees. Total reward is a combination of financial and non-financial incentives. Total remuneration is the value of all cash payments, total earnings and benefits received by employees. Base or basic pay is the amount of remuneration which is fixed salary or wage that determines the job's rate. Job evaluation. It is a systematic procedure for determining the relative worth of size of positions within an organization. Market rate analysis, which will be discussed further on Chapter 48, which is a practice of determining pay rates in the labor market for similar jobs in order to make compensation decisions within an organization. Grade and pay structures. Jobs can be arranged in a grading system based on the relative size. Pay ranges related to grades may make up the pay structure, allowing for pay advancement, which will be also further discussed on Chapter 49. Contingent pay. Additional monetary incentives may be offered in exchange for performance, competence, contribution, skill, or service. This is also known as cash bonuses, which can be added to the basic pay. Employee benefits. Pensions, sick pay, insurance coverage, corporate automobiles, and variety of other perks are characterized as elements of remuneration other than cash pay. Performance management is used to provide non-monetary motivation and can also be used to inform contingent compensation decisions like salary and bonus decisions. Non-financial rewards, achievement, autonomy, recognition, scope to use and develop talents, training, career development chances, and high-quality leadership are examples of non-monetary rewards that will derive from the work itself, which is depicted on Figure 46.1. Total reward. According to Manus and Graham, in the year 2003, quote-unquote, includes all sorts of benefits, indirect and direct, intrinsic and extrinsic, such as basic pay, contingent pay, employee benefits, and non-financial rewards, such as intrinsic pleasures from the work itself, is collected together and considered as a whole. The two major rewards categories is combined in total reward. Here are those. Transaction rewards are tangible rewards arising from transactions between the employer and employees concerning pay and benefits, while relational rewards are intangible rewards concerned with learning and development and the work experience, which will be shown on Figure 46.2. Aside from that, total reward encompasses all that employees appreciate in the working connection, which Sandra O'Neill explains, while World at Work offers an equally broad definition of total reward, stating that total rewards are all of the employer's available instruments that may be used to recruit, retain, motivate, and satisfy employees. The significance of total reward. A total reward approach can assist establish a work environment that matches employees' requirements and motivates them to put in extra effort. Here are the benefits of total reward approach. Greater impact. The combined effect of the different types of rewards will make a deeper and longer-lasting impact on the motivation and commitment of the people. Enhancing the employment relationship. The employment relationship created by a total rewards approach make the maximum use of relational as well as transactional rewards and will therefore appeal more to individuals. Flexibility to meet individual needs, as pointed out by Milkovich and Bloom. Relational rewards may bind individuals more strongly to the organization because they can answer those special individual needs. Talent management is the relational rewards that helps to deliver a positive psychological contract, and this can serve as a differentiator in the recruitment market, which is much more difficult to replicate than individual pay practices. The Tower-Perrins model of total reward. The transaction rewards are presented by the upper two quadrants, money and benefits, while the two lower quadrants, relational, are the non-financial incentives. On the other hand, are critical to increasing the value of the upper two quadrants as far as true power is concerned. According to Thompson, corporations integrate relational and transactional rewards. Reward strategy. It is a statement that gives people a sense of purpose and direction, as well as foundation for creating incentive policies, practices, and procedure. Why do we have a strategy? Reward strategy is ultimately a mode of thinking that you can apply to any reward issue that arises in your organization to see how you can create value from it. The content of reward strategy. A reward strategy may include a list of explicit intents addressing certain components of reward administration. Broad brush reward strategies. To achieve a proper balance between monetary and non-monetary rewards to foster commitment and involvement, and to create more possibilities for people's contribution to be valued and recognized. Specific reward strategy areas. It's possible that a new contingent compensation system, a new pay structure, or a job evaluation will be implemented. Here are the three key guiding principles for reward. Number one, develop rewards policies and practices which support the achievement of business goals. Provide rewards which attract, retain, and motivate staff and help to develop a high-performance culture. Third, maintain competitive rates of pay. Here are the ways to develop a reward strategy. Number one, the diagnosis phase when reward goals are agreed, current policies and practices assessed against them, options for improvement considered and any changes agreed. The detailed design phase when improvements and changes are detailed and any changes tested, which tells us that pilot testing is important. The final testing and preparation phase. Last, the implementation phase followed by ongoing review and modification. In the figure 46.4, it depicts a sensible step-by-step strategy for accomplishing this, which includes numerous opportunities for collaboration, interaction, and communication with stakeholders, such as senior management, who make the final decision, as well as employees and line managers. Lastly, here are the components of an effective reward strategy. They have to have a clear defined goals and a well-defined link to business objectives. There have to be well-designed pay and reward programs, tailored to the needs of the organization and its people and consistent and integrated with one another. Third, perhaps most important and most neglected, there needs to be effective and supportive HR and reward processes in place. Implementing reward strategy. The goal of implementation is to turn the reward plan into working reality by increasing the organization's capacity to put the suggestions developed during the development stage into action. Developing line management capability. HR and reward specialists must build line management capability by initiating processes that line managers can easily implement, by promoting understanding and communicating what is happening and why it is happening and how it will be affected to everyone, by providing guidance and assistance as needed and providing formal training as needed. Chapter 47, Job Evaluation. Job evaluation in order to establish internal relativities. It is a systematic process for establishing the relative work or size of occupation within an organization. Here are the aims of job evaluation. Establish the relative value or size of jobs. Produce the information required to design grade and pay structures. Provide as objective as possible a basis for grading jobs. Enable sound market comparisons with jobs or roles of equivalent complexity and size. Be transparent. The basis upon which grades are defined and jobs graded should be clear. Ensure that the organization meets equal pay for work equal value obligations. Approaches. There are two types of approaches in determining the value of job, formal and informal. In informal job evaluation, we approach price jobs based on assumptions about internal and external relativities or merely ongoing or market rates. Formal job valuation are evaluated using standardized procedures, which might be analytical or non-analytical. Internal relativities and the process of developing and defining job grades or levels in an organization are dealt with in such schemes. Analytical job evaluation schemes. Analytical job evaluation is based on the process of breaking whole jobs down into a number of defined elements or factors such as responsibility, decisions, and knowledge and skill. 4. Point factor rating. The most prevalent type of job evaluation is point factor schemes, which is accomplished by evaluating the job's characteristics in relation to that element. After that, the individual factor scores are put together to provide a total score. In Table 47.1, we will see an example of a factor plan. Analytical job matching. Analytical job matching, like point factor job evaluation, is based on the examination of a number of established factors, which can take two forms. Job role profiles are matched analytically with benchmark role profiles, and job role profiles are matched analytically with benchmark role profiles. Tailor-made ready-made and hybrid schemes are consultant schemes that have been modified to meet the needs of the organization. Non-analytical job evaluation schemes are methods to compare entire jobs in order to assign a grade or rank order to them. They are not studied in terms of their elements or factors. Job classification is based on defining the quantity and features of the level or grades in the grade and pay system into which jobs will be assigned. Job ranking entails comparing entire jobs and ranking them according to their perceived worth of the company, which is also known as paired comparison ranking, which is used to double-check the rank order generated by point factor ranking. Paired comparison ranking. Paired comparison ranking is a statistical technique that can be utilized to provide a more advanced manner of whole job ranking, which is based on the notion that comparing one job to another is always easier than considering a lot of jobs and attempting to establish rank order through many comparisons, which will be shown on Table 47.2. The advantage of paired comparison ranking over traditional ranking is that it is easier to compare one task to another rather than making many comparisons. It cannot, however, overcome one of the most fundamental challenges to any type of whole job ranking: the lack of specified rules for determining relative worth. Internal benchmarking is the process of comparing a job under review to any internal position that is regarded to be correctly graded and compensated. Market pricing is a technique of acquiring information on market rates to guide pay structure decision. Due to the advent of technology, computer-aided job evaluation was used in evaluating job scores or grade in computer job evaluation, which is supported by a standard point factor method. Here are the two types. Methodologies in which job analysis data is either directly entered in the computer or transferred from a paper questionnaire. The predetermined rules are used by the computer software to turn data into scores for each factor and produce a total score. Number 2. Interactive computer-assisted schemes in which the job applicant and his or her manager sit in front of a PC and are provided with a series of logically interrelated questions, the responses to which result in a score for each of the built-in elements in turn as well as a total score. Here are the opinions on the computer-aided job evaluation. Choice of approach. The benefits of utilizing a well-known analytical approach that meets equal value conditions appear to be numerous. Others employed analytical matching, which was frequently combined with the point system. The option is self-evident. Criteria for choice. Thorough in analysis and capable of impartial application. The scheme should have been carefully constructed to ensure that its methodology is sound and appropriate in terms of all jobs it has to cater for. It should also have been tested and trialed to check that it could be applied impartially to those jobs. Appropriate. It should cater for the particular demands made on all the jobs to be covered by the scheme. Comprehensive. The scheme should be applicable to all jobs in the organization, covering all categories of staff and if factors are used. Transparent. The processes should be used in the scheme for the initial role analysis through the grading decision should be clear to all concerned. Non-discriminatory. The scheme should meet equal pay for the work of equal value requirements. Ease of administration. The scheme should not be too complex or time-consuming to design or implement. It may be decided to utilize one method, such as a point factor rating or analytical matching. However, an increasing number of organizations are combining the two approaches, using point factor rating to evaluate a representative sample of benchmark jobs, as shown in Table 47.3. Design principles are the factors that should be clearly defined and differentiated. There should be no double counting. Sex bias must be avoided. The scheme should clearly measure futures of female-dominated jobs as well as male-dominated ones. Process principles ensure that they create accurate and relevant data that will inform the job evaluation process and are not biased. Women, ethnic minorities, and people with disabilities. Job assessment findings must be carefully monitored to ensure that they do not merely reproduce the existing hierarchy. The design and implementation program. A point factor job evaluation scheme can be time-consuming to design and implement. A project can take 2 years or more to finish in a large organization. Many organizations use the assistance of management consultants to carry out the program, which is shown on Figure 47.1. Here are the different kinds of diagrams, which is the scheme design program and the designing and analytical matching job evaluation scheme. Equal pay considerations. In our country, the late Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago created an act of prohibiting discrimination in the payment of wages on account of sex, also known as Fair Pay Act of 2007, which states that no employer shall discriminate within any establishment in which such employees are employed between employees on the basis of sex by paying wages to employees in such establishment in a job that is dominated by employees of a particular sex at a rate less than the rate at which the employer pays wages to employees in such establishment in another job that is dominated by employees of the opposite sex for work on equivalent jobs. This was filed on September 11, 2007. Market rate analysis is carried out by surveys that provide information on the compensation and perks for similar jobs in similar firms. It serves as the foundation for either extreme market pricing or retaining competitive pay and benefits. Determining pay ranges in a grade pay structure. Here are the aims of market analysis. Obtain relevant, accurate, and representative data on market rates. compare like with like in terms of data, regional, and organizational variations, and most importantly, the type and size of job or role. Obtain information that is up to date as possible. Interpret data in a way that clearly indicates the action required. Concept of market rate. Even when comparing identically sized firms in a same industry and area, there is no such thing as a definitive market rate for any position. Differences in the sample, the difficulty of obtaining precise matches between jobs in the organization and jobs elsewhere, job matching and timing, different market information sources for the same types of job produces different results. Market rate analysis is unlikely to produce information on the rate of the job. Factors in determining the validity and reliability of the market rate data. Job matching. Insufficient job matching is a primary source of mistakes in market analysis data. The goal is to match the occupations as closely as possible inside the company so that like can be compared to like. The organizations and those outside the comparators are brought together. How to make it accurate? It's critical to avoid crude and misleading comparisons based just on job names or ambiguous job descriptions. To begin, make sure that the company and the sorts of companies utilized as comparators have a broad batch in terms of sector, industry categorization, size, and location. The next stage is to match the employment inside their respective organizations. The following are the many approaches, in ascending order of accuracy. Job titles alone provide no indication of person's breadth of responsibilities or level of responsibility, and can paint a misleading impression of their function. Factors in determining the validity and reliability of market data. This method provides some job matching guidance which eliminates big disparities, but it still leaves a lot of room for judgment and can only provide comparison. Capsule job descriptions significantly improve the accuracy of comparisons. However, they are not always capable of coping with specialized jobs, and the accuracy of comparisons across levels of responsibility, even when modifiers are applied, may be limited. Full role descriptions may be employed in specific surveys, which are more accurate on a one-to-one basis, but their application is limited due to the time and effort required. Another drawback is that some businesses may not willing to make their full role profiles available for comparison. Job evaluation is used to support a big capsule job description or a role profile to provide a more accurate measure of a relative job size. This approach will further increase the accuracy of comparison, but the degree of accuracy will depend on the quality of the job evaluation process. Sample frame. The extent to which the sample of firms used to collect data is entirely representative of the organization with whom comparison must be made in terms of industry, technology, or type of size of company, and location. Timing is the degree to which the information is current or can be reliably updated. Published surveys, on which many people rely, can quickly become out of date due to their very nature. The use of benchmark jobs. A market rate survey should try to collect data on a representative sample of benchmark jobs that may be used to help with pay structure design or a basis for market pricing. Sources of market data. Information comes from a variety of sources. It becomes more credible. It's crucial to consider how readily the study can be replicated in the future when selecting data sources. Only a consistent collection of sources may be utilized to identify trends, and those sources must be generally stable. Published surveys. Publicly available surveys are usually based on a large sample and are easily accessible. It's much better if the information can be found online. Here are the guidelines to be used. Does it cover relevant jobs in similar organizations? Does it provide the information on the pay and benefits required? Are there enough participants to provide acceptable comparison? So far as can be judged, is the survey conducted properly in terms of its sampling techniques and the quality of job matching? Is the survey reasonably up to date? Are the results well presented? Does it provide value for money? Consultants' databases. Many incentive management consultancies have databases of market rates compiled from their own surveys and contacts, which are frequently tied to their proprietary job evaluation scheme. Special surveys can justify the time and trouble or expense by producing usefully comparable data. Club surveys are undertaken by a group of companies that have agreed to share pay information in a common manner on a regular basis. The benefits of specific surveys with the added bonus of saving a significant amount of time and giving consistent data. Advertisements. Many companies rely on the wage ranges indicated in job adverts. However, this can be deceiving because you may not always get a suitable match. Here are the other sources of the market data, which is shown on table 48.1. Interpreting and presenting market rate data. These concepts, like the measures of central tendency and the measures of dispersion, was discussed on managerial statistics. So let's skip on that. The use of survey data. Market survey data is used as a reference to compensation levels, and it is based on the judgment and compromise. In this scenario, please assume that the information indicated in this scenario is accurate. An HR manager conducts a compensation town hall of a certain company in order for the employees to be enlightened. She explains the importance of salary review, the salary review approach, market data sources, and the result of the study. Here are the salary review approach, and the sources used are from the job street, which under the category job ads, the ICT, which is under the industrial occupational surveys. And here are the results of the studies. Data generated, number of companies who posted ads from January 2020 until October 21 on JobStreet only is 2,800. The tenure standard in JobStreet is less than the 1 year, 1 to 4 years, and 5 years and up. Here are the position titles review: Data Analyst, Document Controller, and SOC Analyst. Here are the lowest and highest rate per role or tenure based on JobStreet and ICT, as well as the summary of lowest and highest rate per role and tenure. Findings: the company's salary structure remains competitive. Considers recruitment feedback that the successful entry level for Data Analyst 1 is 19,000, while the Data Analyst 2 is at 21,000. So here is the comparison of market data and company salary structure. Average is based on the existing salaries of the company's data analysts. Based on what she discussed during the compensation town hall, is her presentation and analysis of the given market data correct? Why or why not? The hint is look at the market data source, advantages and disadvantages on table 48.1. Chapter 49, Grade and Pay Structures. Grade and pay system provide a logical framework within which to apply an organization's pay policy. Definitions: a grade structure is a classification system that ranks groupings of jobs based on their size, a single structure that contains grades or bands and specified by their number and width may exist. Alternatively, the structure could be broken down into many job or career families. Pay structure allows for salary advancement based on performance, competence, contribution, or service. Spot rates are occasionally associated with individuals rather than jobs. They are also known as the rate for the job, which is more common for manual jobs. Individual job grades are essentially spot rates with a set of pay range linked on each side of the rate to allow for pay progression. Guiding principles for grade and pay structures. It should be appropriate to the culture, characteristics, and needs of the organization and its employees, facilitate the management of relativities and the achievement of equity, fairness, consistency, and transparency in managing gradings and pay, capable of adapting to pressures arising from market rate changes and skill shortages, facilitate operational flexibilities and continuous development, provide scope as required for rewarding performance, contribution, and increases in skill and competence, clarify reward lateral development and career opportunities, constructed logically and clearly so that the basis upon which they operate can readily be communicated to employees, enable the organization to organize control over the implementation of pay policies and budgets. Types of grade and pay structure. Multi-graded structure is a set of job grades into which jobs of about equal worth are assigned. It might include up to 18 or even more grades. Broad-graded structures includes reference points or market anchors, which reflect the rate of pay for a fully competent worker in a grade and are connected to market rates in accordance with the policy known as market stance. Reference point control. Increments to the reference point there is a room for growth based on competency. Following that, individuals may be eligible for financial bonuses. Threshold control. There is a threshold in the pay range beyond which individuals' pay cannot increase unless they reach a certain degree of competence and success. Segment or zone control. A type of threshold control that includes splitting the slope into a number of segments or zones, which are usually three. Here is an example of broad-graded structure. Broad-banded structure, which is shown in Figure 49.3, is a compressed multi-graded structures into 4 or 5 bands. Job family structure. Job families are groups of employment that are related by the activities they do and the basic information and abilities they require, but deeper in terms of levels of responsibility, knowledge, skill, or competence. Career family structures are similar to job family structures in that there are a number of different families. Pay spines are consist of a series of incremental pay points extending from the lowest to the highest paid jobs. In the table 49.1, which summarizes the characteristics of several pay schemes, their benefits and drawbacks, and when they might be not be appropriate. Incidence of different types of structure. In Figure 49.8, which depicts the prevalence of various types of structure and compensation arrangement, are determined by the 2008 rewards study. The most common structure presentedly is broad-graded structure. There are a lot of work family structures, but there aren't many career family structures. Designing a grade and pay structure. Decision on where to place grade boundaries will be influenced by considerations affecting the number of width and grades. There are also options on differentials between grades and the method of pay progression in grades. Deciding on grade boundaries. A grade boundaries is the point between one grade and the next higher or a lower grade. An analytical job evaluation exercise will produce a rank order of jobs. Here are the guides for deciding a grade boundaries. Jobs with common features as indicated by the job evaluation factors are grouped together so that a distinction can be made between the characteristics of the job in different grades. The grade hierarchy should take account of the organization hierarchy. Jobs in which the job holder reports to a higher level job holder should be placed in a lower grade, though this principle should not be followed slavishly when an organization is over-hierarchical, perhaps a series of 1-over-1 reporting relationships. The boundary should not be placed between jobs mainly carried out by men and jobs mainly carried out by women. The boundary should ideally not be placed immediately above jobs in which large numbers of people are employed. The grade width in terms of job evaluation points should be represented by a significant step in demand as indicated by the job evaluation scheme. The number of grades, levels, or bands. Here are the factors considered in deciding on the number of grades, levels, or bands to use. The range and type of role should be covered by the structure. The range of pay and job evaluation points scored to be accommodated. The number of levels in the organizational hierarchy is an important factor in the broad banding structure. Decisions on where grade boundaries should be placed following a job evaluation exercise that have produced a rank order of jobs, which might be identified to the existence of clearly defined cluster of jobs at the various levels in the hierarchy between which there are significant differences in job size. A fact that within a given range of pay and responsibility, the greater the number of grades, the smaller their width and vice versa. The problem of grade drift unjustified upgrading in response to pressure, lack of promotion opportunities, or because of job evaluation has been applied laxly, which can be increased if there are too many narrow grades. Width or upgrade Width of grades or pay ranges. The following are the criteria that influence grade or pay range with decisions. Views on the scope that should be allowed for performance contribution or career progression within grades. Equal pay considerations, as discussed in the previous chapters. Decisions on the number of grades. The greater the number, the smaller the width. Decisions on the value of increments in the pay span, which is believed that the number of increments shall be restricted for equal pay or other reasons, but that the number of which should also be limited. Then it is necessary to increase the value of the increments. In the broad banded structure, the range of market rates and job evaluation scores covering the jobs allocated to the band. Differential between pay ranges. Pay differentials between pay ranges should allow for the recognition of job size increases between grades. Pay range overlap. Large overlaps of more than 10% can lead to equal pay issues, especially if men are clustered at the top of their grades and women are more likely to be located at the bottom. Pay progression. There are two types of pay progression in the public sector: fixed, service-related increments, and alternative forms of contingent pay, such as performance, competency, or contribution-related pay. The grade and pay structure design process. The design of a graded structure is usually based on an analytical job appraisal scheme, which is used to build a broad-banded or career job boundary structure in the early phases, which is depicted in figure 49.9. Disclaimer: no part of this report is being used for any other purposes aside from academic. The reporter do not claim any parts of the report. The citation and ownership of the report is still due to the rightful owner. Thank you.